Fantastic. So you've got a third tip, which is going to tie all this together and get rid of the need for willpower. That's what you were saying before.
Absolutely, because what the third tip is to recognize that at that point, when you notice and you're starting to be kind of more compassionate with yourself, then you're at a choice point. There was a quote by Viktor E. Frankl, that I read years and years ago that really struck a chord. And I mean, it's actually in my book. It's so powerful. And I've got it here just in case I forgot what it is. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our happiness.
Ooh.
So stimulus is anything. I mean, in a teaching environment, the stimulus is the teacher giving you knowledge or telling you things. The response is your learning, what you do with that. And it's the same with thoughts. If you recognize, if you notice something, then there is a space. And very often, because we're on autopilot and things are habitual, and we've wired, as I can't remember who it was who said, we are rewiring our brains, but they're wired in a certain way because we have habitual thought patterns, because we expect things to be in a certain way, we believe certain things. So once we recognize that we have a stimulus, we notice something coming in, ooh, whoever that was, yeah, it's good. It is really good, because there's that little space. And that's the point at which you have a choice. So it says, in that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response, and then in the response lies your growth and happiness. So choice, it's a choice point, okay? So you can choose to carry on with those thoughts, like a snow globe. When you shake a snow globe and there's snow, it looks really pretty, but actually if that was what was going in your head, that would be a bit it's a bit of a storm going on. But what we do very often is we kind of attach to all those, we kind of, oh yeah, and that, all those little things that we're trying to attach ourselves to, and we attach meaning to. What we can do at that point is simply let it rest. It's we actually don't have to do anything at that choice point, which may sound a little bit strange, but there isn't anything you need to do. You can choose to pause, to take some deep breaths. You can choose to be kind to yourself and recognize that that's not what you've been doing, and do something that makes you feel good or makes you feel better, whether that's simply just going and making a cup of tea, getting in fresh air for a few minutes. You can choose to do all of those things. And remember, it's in those choices that's where your freedom and happiness lies.
Yeah.
So what that means is you bring yourself back to the present moment. And where most of us live is in the past or in the future, isn't it? We're constantly feeling guilty about stuff we didn't do, and we should be there, and we should have done that, and I wonder how people have taken that, and all that stuff that goes on. Or where we're projecting and we're fearful about things, we're wondering whether something might happen, or there's a lot of what ifs when we're going forward. What this choice point does is brings you right back to the here and now, and recognize that in this moment, this creates your future. This is how you create your future, is simply by noticing. I'll come back to that in a sec. Sorry, I've just noticed there's something.
Keep going.
Simply by noticing, being kind to yourself, and then making a choice, making a different choice.
Make a different choice. Yeah. So it's up to us.
Absolutely. But that's where the kindness and compassion comes in. It's like, don't beat yourself up at that point. Just say, okay, I'm here now. I've noticed that's really good. What do I want to do now? And it may simply be to sit still so that you kind of drop out of your head and get back into your heart, because we get really stuck up here. or it may be to do something very practical. But as I say, that really does bring you into the present moment. And what we need to remember is when we've got all these goals and we want to do certain things in our business, then we create that by the choices we make in the present moment.
Yeah.
So simply being busy and feeling overwhelmed and doing stuff that maybe isn't that important is not probably going to create the future that you want.
Yeah.
So very simple steps, as you say, not always easy to do, but start small.
Yeah.
Start small and congratulate yourself when you notice, and be kind to yourself and really curious when you do. And then decide, say, okay, I have a choice at this point. That's the space. That's the space between the stimulus and response. Do I do what I usually do, which is just get straight back in and try and forget it and then get down on myself or whatever? Or do I make a different choice? Because if you want something different in the future, we all know if you do the same stuff in the same way, you're going to get the same results. So yeah, that's bringing it right back to you and what you can do for you and for your business.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got to notice, we've got to be kind, and we've got to choose the thing that's going to be the best thing for us.
Yeah. It's recognize it's a choice point.
Yeah.
So if we choose to do what we've always done, again, that might simply be a noticing. Oh, yeah, I did that again. That's what I always do. Okay, so next time maybe you won't. Maybe you will choose something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that will be better. Yeah, I think we're all quite guilty, aren't we, of doing something the same way again and again and not really realising. And then you kind of go,
if we're not getting the results we want, or if we're not very happy or not feeling very fulfilled, then yes, it's all I'm asking people to do is, are you open to exploring you in that situation? Because we're all different, but there are some threads that run through because we're human beings and we think and we spend loads of time up here. There is a different way of looking at business development through looking at who we are and how we're being and how we want to be and what we want to achieve. It's just getting to know and understand ourselves better.
Yeah. Oh, no, hang on, I'll put that up so you can actually see it. That would be helpful. It's gone. Oh, there we go. Noticing that what you actually have choices is a revelation, says Pauline.
Absolutely. Because we very often don't think we have a choice, but that's simply because our brains are wired that way because of what we've done previously and what's happened to us and what we thought about it, how we felt about it, how we've internalized it, what meanings we've attached to it. That's why it's the way it is. There is always a choice, even when we think there isn't. So, get curious about what the choices might be for you.
Yeah, that's quite free, actually, isn't it? There's always a choice, even when you don't think there is. To sit there and feel, actually, yes, there's a decision. I can.
Yeah. Or simply, I can look at it a different way. I can ask myself a different question. I could let it go.
Yeah.
There are so many different things, and you may feel, well, that's a bit hard, and that's different. That's okay. That's when the kindness comes in. So sometimes they're not necessarily linear, these tips. It's kind of circular, isn't it? Because as you notice and you recognize a choice point, then you may notice 5 minutes later that actually what you said you were going to choose, you didn't actually choose, you did something else. That's noticing. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that you've noticed. So that's kind of that virtuous circle.